Hello and welcome to another World of Warplanes video with me, Sir 10 Death. We're nearly at the end of the review of the Tier 4 fighters now, with two left to go, both German, and this one is one of them. Today I'm reviewing the Messerschmitt Bf-109B, one of the two Tier 4 German fighters, and talking about what it does well, what it doesn't do so well. As always, there will be some gameplay footage, not stunningly amazing, just some fairly average gameplay footage that shows off what this plane can do and can't do. And I'll be doing the final review, the Heinkel HE-112, in the next couple of days, and then after that I'll be moving on to some other planes, maybe Tier 5 and maybe one or two premium planes of lower tiers I haven't talked about yet thus far. You will notice mine's got quite a snappy paint job. I got this one out of one of those loot boxes that appeared in the Skies of Albion event that has recently finished. I happened to unlock a pretty almost leopard skin paint job just for this plane, so since I happen to have the plane at the moment in my hangar, let's put that paint job on. But I wouldn't normally pay for paint jobs on things that I'm not going to keep long term, although I might. So let's have a chat about this plane then. Well, hit point wise, it's got 160 hit points, which is okay. It's better than some at Tier 4. Not quite as good as one or two others, but it's certainly better than maybe the Japanese one, so it's workable. That hit point amount will never change unless you use some sort of add-ons to the aircraft, but it doesn't change by upgrading because this plane does not have an airframe upgrade. It's got a couple of engine upgrades and some weapon upgrades, but there's no airframe upgrade for it, so you're going to have 160 hit points throughout. But that's okay, Tier 4, that's fairly reasonable, and they will cope okay with that. Now, first thing you'll have noticed here, when I'm turning around, it's a bit slow on the turn, or at least it feels a bit slow on the turn compared to some others that I've reviewed quite recently. Yeah, you can see that compared to things like the KI-43 or the A6M1 or even the Bristol Bulldog, it's slower to turn. That's because this is not as much of a turn and burn fighter. This is probably more of an introduction into boom and zoom style of fighting. To be honest, I'm not an expert in boom and zoom, and others might well comment and correct me on this. I get a feeling it's more of a hybrid. It's somewhere between the two. It's not super manoeuvrable, but it's also not particularly very sluggish. So its manoeuvrability rating on paper is 69. A lot of the fighters at this tier are up there around the 80s or 90s, so yeah, it's significantly slower than that. Apologies for holding down the trigger there. I did record this footage quite a while ago actually. And I've also stalled as well in my desperation to kill this guy off. Die! Okay, off he goes. Yeah, and its turn is 10.3 seconds, which is compared to some other fighters, it's a little bit poor. Certainly if you get into a one-on-one against anything like one of those Japanese ones, or a Bristol 146 or an I-17, they are going to outturn you and you're going to be in a bit of trouble there. So it's not the kind of plane you really want to get into a lot of low-level dogfighting with. Speaking of levels, its suggested altitude for this is actually quite high. It's quite a high level fighter. It's suggested that you play it best around the 1,700 meter mark. Now I'm playing this at the minute about 1,000 meters up. There are times, particularly in lower tiers, when you've obviously got to go where the fighting is. If all of the enemy planes are lower down than you, and you sit up there at 1,700 meters, well, you're basically doing nothing for your team, so you've got to go and get involved. So it's workable though. I'm coming down here, for example, right now. The guy that I want to chase is down here at 600 meters, so I'm going to go down to meet him to get involved with the play. Speed-wise, quite a quick plane. Even when not boosting, it will go along as a stock plane at about 340 kilometers per hour. And if you upgrade the engine, it's got two engine upgrades, and it's worth doing them because they do carry over into planes further down the tech tree line. That'll boost up to around 360 or 370. With boost, you can see it's going up around 500, so it's a pretty quick plane. So it adds to the idea of it being a little bit more of a boom and zoom style aircraft. As this game's going at the moment, it's going to be a short game because you can see that we seem to have taken the bull by the horns a bit here and taken control quite early on. Guns then. You can see from the bottom left of my screen that I've got this plane upgraded somewhat. When you first get it, it has four 7.92mm guns, which are not great, but that's not too bad. There are a lot worse at this tier. Point in case being, which I'll be talking about in my next video, the Heinkel HE-112, when you get it, only has two 762s as a stock plane, and it's painful. Four of them you can manage with. You can manage to do okay with that. Oh, I'm in a bit of trouble now. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Now this is where you can't outturn somebody. See, there you go. Prime example of when somebody gets on your tail and you're trying to outturn them. It's not going to happen. So I'm just going to respawn and come in for the second sortie. Talking about the weapons then, you can upgrade them. You can upgrade them to having two 792s and a 20mm cannon, and then ultimately to have four 792s and a 20mm cannon, which is what I've got at the moment. 2 of those 792s are on the wings. The 20mm is quite nice for doing larger chunks of damage, but naturally it overheats a bit more, which you're seeing some examples of in this gameplay, because as I said, I actually recorded this a couple of weeks ago before I'd started to perfect the art of using cannons a bit more efficiently, before somebody tells me in my comments section, you should have let your guns cool down. Yes, I know that already. There you go. I am getting better at this, just a bit of practice makes perfect. I've never claimed to be the best player of the game, and I won't ever claim to be that. I'm just an average person who enjoys playing for a bit of fun, and does a few videos as a sideline. Yes, so, I actually like this plane a lot. I didn't think I would. I thought because my sort of normal game playing style is very much to do with quick manoeuvrable turn and burn fighters, I thought this is going to be too sluggish for my liking, and surprisingly in the last week I've had 2 very pleasant surprises at this tier, with this plane and the American P-36 Hawk, both of which play in a similar sort of style, a bit more hit point, a bit slower in the turn, but quite formidable guns on them. And I have to say, I'm starting to wonder whether my, well, not so much my style of play, but my likes and dislikes for planes is starting to shift a little bit more, not entirely, but a little bit more towards planes like this, what I would call hybrid planes, somewhere between a turn and burn and a boom and zoom. Yeah, so it's a good plane. I like it quite a lot, and I'm just obviously working through this to get to the next one, the tier 5, and work my way up the German fighter lines. In terms of this game, I mean, this game's I love it when games go like this. Well, I do and I don't. I like it from the point of view that you win, ultimately. I don't like it from the point of view you're never going to get yourself something like 15,000 combat points in the game, which is over in a few minutes only. So, I just approached there, that attack plane, did a bit of a flyby, did a bit of damage on him, and I had to turn back out and come back behind him again now. I mean, I've done about nearly 6,000 combat points in the game where I haven't really done very much, really. Little bits and pieces here and there. So you can see the speed of the plane then, it's going along about 450-ish. And this is where I can just go to work now, let those guns power down that attack aircraft. Yes, 5,700 combat points and the game's nearly wound up already. I keep getting asked by people which is the best tier 4 line to go down. To be honest, I would say try them for yourself, because you can get to tier 4 with minimal effort, not a lot of effort. The only ones I found some difficulty with so far, I found that when stock, the KI-43-1, which was in the video I put out yesterday, when it's stock, I don't like that plane. Hard work to make the guns really work. Once you get them upgraded, it's okay. And the Heinkel HE-112, which I'll be doing the next video of, is also another one where the guns are woefully awful until you can get them upgraded. And I've only just done that with that plane, so I'm only just starting to get it into its own now. This is a nice plane. The P-36 Hawk's a nice plane. The Bristol 146, the I-17, yeah, they're all good planes. There's a lot of them at tier 4. They can all compete on their own in their own way. It kind of depends how you want to play the game, really. So here's an example where I'm trying to use manoeuvrability to get behind somebody. I'm having to work a lot harder than normal. If I was in a KI or an A6M1 or a Bristol 146, I would have been behind that guy in a matter of a couple of seconds, and I had to work a lot harder. And to be honest, I only did get behind him because he was also getting hassle off somebody else, and therefore he was having to turn left and right, back and forth all over the place. Game's almost coming to a close now. I'm just going to see how I did it. As always, I'm trying to maximise my... There we go, that's the game. How did we do on the whole then? Well, it's not a great game, it's alright. 7,800 combat points. These awards are all fairly standard. Strong support's nice to get second in the team overall. Can't really complain at that. Cash wise, it's 45,000, which is alright for a non-premium plane in a game that lasts 6 minutes or so. That's okay, I can live with that. But yeah, I enjoy the BF-109B. I think it's quite a nice plane. It's enjoyable, well worth checking out. As ever, I'll be keeping the last tier 4 fighter plane coming your way very soon, in the next day or two. And then 1 or 2 premium planes that are on sale at the minute. I might look at those, and then I'll be going into some more of the tier 5s, maybe some attack aircraft, and possibly even a heavy fighter or 2 if I get brave enough to show off my pretty poor heavy fighter gameplay. As ever, thanks very much for watching. Cheers now, goodbye.